Traffic. We talked about traffic in Forest Park. I've gotten a couple of calls about, particularly after it was restriped, the speeds that people take on Forest Park. I've asked TPW to do a traffic study of Forest Park, which they're actually underway. You probably have seen some of the TPW staff out on Forest Park in the last few weeks. They're looking at a few things. They're toying with the idea of creating a turn lane, much like what's up here at Park Place. I don't know that that's going to be the best thing. They're basically going to come forward with some recommendations in the course of the next couple of months and bring it to you as a neighborhood and say, these are some options that might reduce speeds by narrowing lanes, things like that, and you're going to have an opportunity to weigh in. So, unfortunately, the best I can tell you is we're working on it, but we actually are really working on it. There is, TPW is pulling together some recommendations for us. Most of you have also probably noticed the Forest Park Towers never quite got finished. Unfortunately, the contractor that the City of Fort Worth contracted with went bankrupt, and with that ceased all work. And they got kind of close, but they didn't quite finish. We're in the process of reletting that bid, hiring a new contractor, finishing the work, and I promise you that the day that the flagpoles go back up and that that project is finished, we're going to have a big community celebration. And I want to thank Bob Adams for his long-standing perseverance on making sure that that happened. For those of you who don't know, Bob is an architect and serves as my appointee to the City of Fort Worth Historic and Cultural Landmarks Commission. That is a role that I take kind of serious, given that I did that for 6 years, and it's kind of near and dear to me. And I've heard so many people acknowledge Bob's thoughtfulness during the course of those commission deliberations as a kind of a voice of reason, and B, a guy who's really smart. So he is truly an asset here in your neighborhood, and thank you, Bob, for your service.
I'll pay you later.
Okay, good. I think it should be that I pay you, but okay, I appreciate that. And then I want to talk about the zoo in Forest Park and transition into that conversation I talked about the lack of public process. A year ago, during some of the early negotiations, I promised all of you that at the point at which we were going to put aside the zoo negotiations, because basically we were going through a tough budget year, we needed to assess where we were budget-wise, and that the negotiations were basically going to be put on ice until a point in the future, at which point we'd all have an opportunity to have a conversation about that. That didn't happen, and there's some in the shortcomings that brought that, like I said earlier, there's really, it's given me kind of a new cause to take hold of in the course of the next few months and year. I will tell you, and I don't think that the mayor would mind me conveying this, he wanted to move this forward very quickly because he felt like we were at danger. I'm going to paraphrase, and this is all my assessment of things I've heard him say, that the Zoo Association had been doing a good job, which I agree with, that they didn't want to get beat up in a big public process, that they didn't want people taking shots at the individuals who had contributed money to build a number of the improvements on city properties, such as MOLA, which has opened in the last year. And the mayor didn't want to expose the association nor those people to having any kind of public shots from the community. I acknowledge that that's a good and worthy thing to want, but that zoo is our zoo. It's the city's zoo. And to find out on a Thursday night when I get my agenda for the following Tuesday that it's on there basically made me a liar to you guys, because I'd promised you that there would be a public process in this. I had a 2-hour meeting with the mayor the following Monday, the day before it was scheduled to be voted on. And I will tell you, the first hour and a half of that meeting, the mayor stood pretty firm until I basically just wore him down and asked him, you have to have some sort of input from these neighborhoods. You could give them the exact thing that they asked for, but if you just say, ta-da, here we're going to bestow it upon you, but you're not going to get a voice in what it is, they feel that they've justifiably so been left out of the process. No one likes to be surprised. None of us in any of our dealings. And like I said, we could, whether it's the new waste management contract and recycling, or whether it's the zoo contract, or any of these things that we do, if we don't hear from you guys and you're not given a venue by which you're able to make input, well, we've done an incredible disservice to the city and to all of you who elect us. I want to commend Herb and Christian, Jeff Davis from Mistletoe Heights, and Bill Hall from Park Hill. The mayor said that he would support my request. I'd asked for a month continuance to do a public process. He said he would only agree to a week. And the truth is that the mayor had the support to push it through if he wanted to anyway. During the course of that week, we had a very active and busy week dealing with that and had a series of meetings. And there were some good things that came out of that just modicum of public process with basically 4 individuals, me, the parks director, and the city manager. We were able to get a commitment from the city manager that the fence that's along Park Place, that we're going to work to move that back, and or in the places that we can't move that back because they built something right up behind it, that we're going to adjust the street in a way that there's some sort of protected pedestrian walkway there along that fence. How we do that, if you have to narrow the street, I don't know how we're going to accomplish that in some of the areas, but the zoo's out there basically doing an assessment of what they've got along the fence. The city's doing an assessment of what we can do along there, and that's going to be one of the things that we're going to get accomplished. What were some of our other issues? I'm drawing a blank. Traffic. Commitment from the zoo that there would never be traffic directed from, and this is something, believe me, I learned my very first year on council. I've been in for about a few months, and that first spring break, when they put up these signs at Forest Park and I-30, I think was one of the worst days of my life. And I assure you that that will never happen again, and we got a written commitment from the city manager that there would never be traffic directed from 30 onto Forest Park.
Soccer fields in the boundaries of the zoo itself.
The zoo agreed to not pave the archery fields, and that's actually a concession. Before they could pave the archery field for parking. They have largely maintained that they want to protect their right to, they have basically half of the soccer fields that they've been given permission to in the past to build in the future on, but they have said that they have no plans anytime in the near future to do so, and any kind of modification or changes to that would require they go before the city council, and you would hope would have a public process before such a vote would happen. But they have committed that they have no intention of changing the zoo boundaries as they currently are, that they have no intention to build beyond where they currently are.